Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And today we'll be discussing two films by Leigh Whannell. Oh, excuse me, Leigh Whannell. I don't know why I got stuck in my shitty pronunciation.
Leigh Whannell.
Leigh Whannell. He directed and wrote both of these, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll be going over
Upgrade and The Invisible Man. I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
And I'm Jonathan.
I want to go over Upgrade first because it is the shorter movie,
Yeah.
and it is the less costly. And in all honesty, how to put into words, the one that came before this.
Yeah, you had The Invisible Man in 2020, so this year, and then
You got Upgrade in 2018. This is my second time viewing this movie. I was fortunate to catch it in theaters when it came out.
Same.
And I had a fun time with it.
I love that it's considered a cyberpunk action body horror crime thriller. That's like the most crazy combination of things.
Yeah.
I've never seen a cyberpunk movie like this.
Yeah,
before,
same.
I don't think.
The thing is, when we went to the theater and I went with my friend Levi, we went and we were like, all right, well, let's see how futuristic this is. And then we see like the entire shot of the city. We're like, oh shit, this is futuristic as hell. What the fuck? I mean, they're all living in somewhat of a police state too, because you got police drones checking in on people too. It's kind of weird.
It's Australian, isn't it? Like an Australian film?
Yeah. Leigh Whannell is from Australia, and it was filmed and shot on location in the land down under, as they say.
Hell yeah. All right. So what are some good production things that we should know from this film?
Directed and written by Leigh Whannell, of course, but it stars Logan Marshall Green as our main character, Greg Trace. I believe Logan Marshall Green was in some stuff that was somewhat worthy. He plays our main character and antagonist of the film.
He was like in the OC. He was in Traveler. He was also in Prometheus and Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah, he was the shocker guy.
Yeah.
He was just like, soon enough, you're going to put this thing on your hand and call yourself the Shocker. And then he dies.
That's great. Just kind of like smaller-ish roles.
Right. I think this was like one of the first times that he had a really main part on it.
This is also Blumhouse Productions. And they made a lot of horror films.
Same with The Invisible Man. They both went through Blumhouse.
Yeah.
Supporting him, we have Melanie Vallejo.
Yeah.
As Asha Trace, his lovely wife. And we have Steve Danielson as Jeff Hanley.
Yes.
And then I think, other than that, Benedict Hardy as Fisk, the main antagonist, other than, Oh, actually, wait. Where is the credit? Betty Gabriel is Detective Cortez.
Yes.
She is in a lot of horror films, too.
Yeah, I thought I recognized her. She seems to have appeared in a lot of different things, which is cool. She has that recognizable face.
Yeah, she's just notable for being that extra character in fucking pretty much the horror movies. I believe she was in Get Out. She played Georgina.
Yes.
She played Lainey in Purge election year as well. So she's just kind of like, just the main cop in this, trying to figure out what's going on with these murders.
Yeah.
Other than that, the movie comes in at a clock in time at 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I don't know, what are your initial thoughts on viewing this film, guys?
It wasn't what I expected it was, and that happened with both films. It was just not what I was expecting. I went into Upgrade with not much knowledge of what it was, and I had just seen the preview where you see the guy like inserting bullets into his forearm and just has like a gun built into his hand. So I was like, yeah, that's enough to get me interested to go watch it. And then it just turned out to be like this super sad movie at the beginning, and then it completely flips as soon as this anonymous donor is like, hey, you want me to like help you fix your body? And then it just goes fucking insane from there.
I gotta say, I agree with that.
Like, it's just, it kicks into high gear, like, right at the beginning of the film, not even, like, 15, 20 minutes into the film, and then it's just nonstop from there.
Were you gonna say something, Mitch?
Yeah. My own initial thoughts on the movie itself. I mean, I didn't know anything about um the upgrade like at all. I didn't even know what it was about. I didn't really spend too much time. I read like the first 10 words in the description of the movie, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll watch it, whatever, and just see what it is, what it's all about. And then I watched it, and it was amazing. It was so good. I don't know. I really like the premise of I guess it has like that body horror aspect, but it's the most cyberpunk film I think I've ever seen.
It's
I can't recall anything I've seen that's as cyberpunk as this movie is.
it's the most cyberpunk revenge movie on the market for sure.
Yeah,
Because I mean, we got like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Akira or Blade Runner. I mean, those are technically cyberpunk films.
Yeah.
yeah. You're right.
But this
one's
one
like
is really dark.
Yeah,
it's really dark. It does a good analysis of like the goods and the bads of like cybernetic technology on people, and like the fears that and like the benefits that come with that technology. And it deals a lot with that. Like after this, like you question if you even want like a self-driving car.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like it does get into those nitty-gritty discussions about cybernetic upgrades within humans. If are they a good thing? Should we keep them? What if they backfire? As well as stuff like self-driving cars and electric cars, kind of like the new Teslas that drive themselves, because they were coming out around the same time of this movie on the market. I will say though, we do have 2 production notes that I can actually talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
One was that the budget was actually, I got 3. The budget was $3 million, and it made 17 million in the box office. So for a horror movie and for a cyberpunk movie that looks this clean, for $3 million, I'm pretty fucking impressed.
I am too. They must have really gotten someone who knew what the fuck they were doing.
Dude, like it to me, like a cyberpunk movie has to have a grandiose like scale with like different corporations and neon lights and like pinks and blues, and gets that like feel. And this movie gets it right on a super fucking cookie cutter budget, if I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, they showed you just enough to convince you that there was a larger world. So they like managed to show you scale by only showing you certain bits of their world, which is really cool.
We are supposed to be in the year 2047 when this comes out.
Every movie is always so optimistic about what the fuck we're going to be doing in a couple years, and it's never like that.
It made a really good use of it had really good pacing as well for such a grandiose world with so much going on in it. It did a really good job of getting right to the point, being very brisk in its pace, and getting to like the meaty points of the story while also just like sprinkling in the details that need to be there.
It really does, especially like the first time you watch it, you don't know where you're going. The second time you watch it, you're like, okay, now I'm catching on the details that are like protruding to that. I will say though, we do have a cinematic first for this though. This used a very specific kind of camera to get the action scenes that were fucking top notch. We have a gyroscopic camera,
hell yeah,
like pretty much locked on to motion sensors within the main character Gray. And this is what Leigh Whannell wanted to do, as well as the cinematographer. They wanted super crazy, like over the top action scenes that like you are in the perspective of Gray doing these flips, breaking these hands, cutting these faces. And you could see it in the Invisible Man later in his future work, but much more precise and clean cut. In Upgrade, you know, they used it for super fast-paced fighting. And the Invisible Man, it was a lot more subtle, but most notably in the ward scene when our main character, I believe her name was, what was it? Cecilia?
Yeah.
When she is exiting the hospital. So Leigh Whannell had the gyroscope thing used on a robotic arm. He basically tried it out on Upgrade and then basically polished it up for his use on the Invisible Man.
All right.
And I think it's really cool. Another noteworthy thing, I know that they only had one head to use for the suicide kill at the top of the stairs, so they had to get that shot right.
Oh, damn.
Where the guy
Yeah.
Gray basically forces the guy to shoot himself in the face
Yeah.
Yep.
with his gun arm.
One of the best kills in the movie. Too.
Yo, so that was all practical effects then.
Yeah.
Fuck.
They are all practical. It should be noted that Leigh Whannell wrote Saw along with James Wan back in 2003.
Yeah.
And so them being these big horror guys, they know practical effects. I mean, Saw, for its practical effects, is basically, I mean, it's torture porn that everyone says, but they got the blood, they got the guts, they know what they're doing.
The first one was iconic, though. It was like, it set the precedent for a lot of other films that came after it. Plus, it was made on like an insanely small budget in one single room.
That's why I think Saw number 1 has so much going for it.
Yeah.
Number 2 is up there with me, in my opinion. Then they trace off right after that.
Yeah.
Saw was something I was super into, but it's really cool because we're seeing a progression of Leigh Whannell going from screenplay writer and actor to director and just doing more screenplays. He's getting better and better.
Yeah, he's director-writer now, and he's doing a good job.
After
releasing The Invisible Man, he's gonna get some more attention because that movie made so much money, and it's really good.
Definitely. Do you guys want to talk about some plot points on Upgrade? What you thought about them?
Yeah. So at the beginning, it brought up a really important thing that was kind of gonna make you question what's gonna happen in the future of like cybernetic enhancements. Like, what are the ethics of putting in a cybernetic enhancement into someone who's paralyzed? And that can include so many things like, is it only going to be available to people who are rich? People who are like not so rich, are they going to get like cheaper prosthetics? And then on top of that, are they like hackable? Like, what happens to the main character where the little computer inside of it kind of just takes control of his body? So like, this raises the question of, would the government use this kind of technology to like hack people? And so that was like one of the biggest things that I was thinking about, and like wanted to ask you guys, do you think that it would just almost immediately go bad if we had actual like cybernetic enhancements?
Reading the Cyberpunk player's handbook from the role-playing game.
Yeah.
It seems fucking dope as shit at first glance, right?
Yeah.
Getting like, oh, dude, imagine if I have a GPS in my fucking arm. What if I could basically buy stuff in my wrist? What if I could shoot shotgun shells through my fucking
Yo, that's
my
wild.
Fucking forearm?
I want to know like the mechanics of that. So is there like a tube on the inside that goes all the way to like his palm? And then there's just like a firing pin somewhere like in his forearm. Like, how does it? Because he does like the pumping action like with his arm. So like,
yeah, he does.
So like, what's the mechanism in his hand that's letting him do that? I was just interested. I was like, can you like show me a break apart of this? Like, I wish they would have done like one of those scenes where it's like a throwaway scene where they're like, yeah, check this out, and it's like a blueprint.
They did have the autopsy, but that was about it.
Yeah, they were just like, hey, he has a gun in his arm. Like, check this out. But they didn't really explain it.
Check out this illegal firearm within this man's hand.
Yeah. That's a good point, too, is that it was illegal. Like, that technically is not something that everyone should have, but it's possible in their future.
Right, and the thing is, the main antagonist of the film, Fisk, he's upgraded as shit, and he even said he was an experiment for the army once he left. I mean, he has so many fucking powers, dude.
Yeah, that's fuck. He had so many. I was trying to think of like just how many, and it almost made it seem like he wasn't as human anymore because he had so many enhancements.
Right. We have the scene where he kills the main character's wife.
Yeah, it was fucked.
In front of him, and like in the scene, you don't see him hold the gun. And he's not holding the gun once it pans over. It's in his arm.
Yeah, that's how he gets away, technically, with, like, the murder.
You've also got the parallel of, like, an arms race here, too.
Pun intended.
I know that I'm, like, just not coming into this, but you've got the parallel of an arms race with these people because all of these like cybernetic people are like viewing themselves as better than each other or above one another,
Oh, okay.
which is what Finn does.
Right.
And they constantly upgrade themselves so that they completely leave the concept of humanity behind and
Right.
be better than human.
And if you even think about it, the person who was hacking for Gray, they were, basically telling Gray like we can't let them win.
Right.
I mean, these people behind me are doing VR, and God knows how long they've showered, how long it's been since they've showered, but we
that's
can't let them
wild.
win. I also love that they're like, please don't ask my gender.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that was super funny. She was like, "Well, you shouldn't fucking what was oh god, what was it like buy something by numeral me or something like that." I can't remember what the word.
Yeah, they were just like, please don't ask me my gender. And he's like, I wasn't planning on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This also makes me think of the idea that in some way it might go the opposite. So there may be people who are sort of purists and wouldn't want to put any sort of enhancement in themselves. So I wonder if this would translate to people who, like, again, like the difference in classes where it's like if somebody has more money, they don't have the need to enhance themselves, aka they're going to be like the purest human. And like other futuristic like cyberpunk things get at this idea where they don't necessarily have to enhance themselves because they have so much money that they can take care of themselves. Or you watch something like Altered Carbon where they have like sleeves, like they just switch bodies because they have their entire existence on these little discs that go like in the back of their neck. So there's so many things that it makes me think about that are just subtly put into the background and directly affect the main plot point, which is what exactly is the technology going to enable people to do. And in this case, he was able to like get revenge, but he didn't realize what like that cost was for him.
Going back on what you said, I mean, it's a quote from a Grimes song, but she says, are you really living if you're not backed up on a drive?
Oh, what? Explain, please.
There's a song by Grimes, the techno artist, called "We Appreciate Power," and the lyric in the song basically says, "Where is it? It's right here." So, okay, and if you long to never die, baby, plug in, upload your mind. Come on, you're not even alive if you're not backed up on a drive.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So the thing is, there's always going to be a good amount of people who will reject these cybernetics. I was talking to my friend Noah about this. We're in a weird area of our lives where cybernetics are a possibility,
right,
and are being currently worked on. But I believe what you're going on, that they would be abused by governments, and I believe that they would be abused by hackers to do something. Imagine you having your entire savings fund in your arm and someone at will forcing you to move those funds into their arm or something like that.
Yeah. Or them
Gun
just
to head.
literally taking your arm because it's valuable.
Or literally just like, oh, hey, there's a kill button on you because I know how much your heartbeat is.
Yo, that's wild.
There is a big thought, especially with the coronavirus going around. There's a lot of conspiracies about the virus being a cybernetic. And it's having a lot of Christians in arms right now because they believe it is the mark of the beast. Which,
well, they're convinced that Bill Gates had some sort of hand in it because he's trying to get people microchipped, which is a hilarious theory, or what is it? Conspiracy theory.
Well, he is at the helm for ID 2020. That is true.
Yeah, so like that's what they're saying. They're trying to connect the two.
And the thing is with Denmark right now, I don't know if you ever heard about what's going on in Denmark. People are getting microchipped right now to show that they either do or do not have the virus. And if you don't the main thing about what Christians believe is that if this turns out like the way it is and it has the mark of the beast, what it says in the book of Revelations is that you're not going to have basically a way to buy food, a way to go through sales a way to access funds or have housing. Basically, you will need the enhancement to do anything, and if you take the enhancement, your soul is damned to hell. So right now with the coronavirus, it's putting a lot of people on edge about cybernetics, a lot of Christians and fundamentalists.
I bet.
At the same time, you have a lot of people who are just don't really give a fuck, and they're just like, dog, give me that shit, upgrade me, man.
That's true. Actually, I was going to ask you guys if at some point in our future we were given the option to get some cybernetic enhancements, would you do it?
I don't think I would.
It could be anything, just anything you can think of. Would you do it? Like better eyes, stronger arms, legs, things like that.
In a fantasy-esque world, I would say yes, but the humanity inside me has to say no.
What about you, Mitch?
Weird about putting something like that in my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm weird about tattoos, dude. Like I don't even get tattoos. Like I've never gotten a tattoo before.
Interesting.
It's just weird. Like I don't know.
I mean, what about? I mean, like the thing is, it does sound nice. I mean, the ability to walk faster, stronger, do all kinds of stuff, see farther. It is always, an enhancement.
I'm the complete opposite. I would not care. You can upload me to a computer and put me in a robot, and I'll be chill because I wouldn't have to worry about eating and shit. Like, I would totally be fine with having my brain or my consciousness in like a fucking jar and be able to do other shit because I don't know, man. Like, it just doesn't really. I don't feel like the whole of who I am is connected to like just my body. Like, I think it's just about who like I am, like sort of more on the inside and thinking and processing on that sort of level. So just disconnecting from that. Disconnecting from that would be easier.
Brain.
Yeah.
You are your brain
though.
That's fine. If you have that, and then if you were to be put into, if I had to lose my entire body and then I could have my brain put into like a mechanical device that allows me to walk around and do stuff.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I'd be fine. I don't want to be stuck in a jar where all I do is look out to the outside
right,
world,
yeah.
Then I go insane.
As far as like enhancements that I would get, I would totally fix my eyes because I can't see for shit. And so I would you guys have seen what is it, Ghost in Shell?
Yeah.
That like not exactly how his look, but her sidekick dude, I can't remember his name. But he has like pretty much enhanced eyesight that like also is hooked up to like information. So like he kind of has like the internet in his eyeballs.
That seems pretty good. I would probably consider that.
Yeah, I'd probably do some shit like that.
But at the same time, how I feel about it is that a soul is bonded to a body.
Interesting.
And no matter what, we are this. What is that meme that we shared like 3 months ago? You are a ball of gray matter inside of a skeleton mech with a fucking flesh upgrade or some shit like that.
A flesh shielding or like
a flesh shield. So the thing is, I think the soul and the body are a connected thing. I wouldn't want to alter the body that it would have a way to ruin my soul technically.
Interesting.
But the thing is, if I didn't feel that way, I mean, fuck, it'd be pretty tight to be able to run faster and climb
guys,
fucking walls.
The real question is, would you put a fucking gun in your arm? Because I sure as fuck would.
Dude, absolutely. now here's the real question though, John.
What kind of
caliber?
gun?
What caliber you're running?
Fucking shotgun, of course.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You can't aim with that. What are you gonna bring your arm up to your face?
Yeah, I mean that whole face is gone. It's just pulp.
No, I'm saying like if you put a more precise caliber of bullet in there, how the fuck are you supposed to aim that? Like you bring your full arm up? Like no, just get a shotgun and spray it in one direction. You don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, just like fuck it.
Yeah, I don't know, some sort of buckshot.
I don't like. That's the thing. It's like I don't even care if I'm aiming anymore. And how does the recoil go, dude? Is your hand doesn't go back, does it? Barely.
I didn't see their arm move, honestly, but I feel like it should.
Just a little bit.
Maybe if you like place your feet correctly, it wouldn't really do it.
Yeah.
Grab your wrist. I don't know.
we should get back to plot points though. So Gray is paralyzed.
Right. He does,
and he doesn't like the cybernetic world. I mean, he is a very analog man.
right. And
His girlfriend
they push
drives
that
like an
forward too. Yeah.
his wife drives an automatic car. He works on hot
He's
rods.
a mechanic.
She listens to music throughout the house. He listens to vinyl. She wants to construct a pizza. He wants to make a pizza. And there is a really good shot though, where he fucks his hand up in the beginning of the movie, working on his car, and he licks his bloody wound. And at the end of the movie, when Stem takes over completely and he's in that daydream, Stem takes the knife out of his hand and licks his hand.
Weird.
Symbolizing that like full transition from gray to gray.
So I don't know if maybe I missed it at some point, but that program that was inside of him, it just went like on its own, right? Like it ignored its creator and everybody else, and it was just like, I want to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, it basically what happened was Aaron attempted to shut it down.
Yeah.
The device knew that was going to happen, took him to the hacker, basically got the protections taken off of it to where it did not need permission to do anything. And then from there, it viewed Aaron as a threat to itself,
yes.
a threat to the body, and so therefore went after him. That is basically what it was. It was both of these movies tonight had a huge fucking twist in them. Like,
yeah.
Like this one in particular had like three twists in
it's
it.
Just,
You're like, oh shit, it's this guy. No, it's not. It's actually this guy. No, it's not. It's actually this guy.
Yeah.
And then you start to second guess yourself. And then when I watched this movie in theaters, we talked to a random bystander, and he's like, I go to the movies like every day. I watch a new movie every day. And he's like, I just hate it when I go to the movies though, and I watch a movie and it just makes me feel like shit at the end of it.
Oh.
And sure enough, we were watching Upgrade, and he was like, "Well, there's another one for the list, boys."
I mean, yeah, it's a sad ass ending.
It does not end well at all, man.
Yeah,
it's
fucked.
definitely like technology completely wins.
Yeah, and then it makes you wonder about what's gonna
taken over by
happen.
STEM.
I mean, it turns out that the STEM, he wants to be his own thing. He doesn't want to be mass marketed and produced for the common man.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to be his own thing, and the only person that could make STEM was its creator. So he had to take out his creator in a really fun way too. Knife attached to hand, just shoves it into his head.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Yeah.
Honestly, I have to really commend the choreography in this movie.
Yes, really well done.
Just for having like, this was like one of the few times I've watched fight scenes where there's a very definite style and it's very robotic in this one.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of like, I couldn't pin it down to like a specific martial art or anything like that. It's simply just something reacting in the most optimal way possible.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
All it is, but it's
man, it's great.
It's calculated.
Robotic, and that's how good it looks.
Well, the main actor did such a good job of making it seem like he was not in control of his own body, which is like, that must have been so hard to do, but it's so good that it's comical at some point, where like his body
like with
is
the dishes.
Yeah, like it's just doing like basic shit.
So funny.
But also like when he's in the bar and he's just violently murdering people and he's like closing his eyes and being like, oh no, like please, I don't want to. And you're like, what the fuck?
Thanks. And then he like snaps a neck.
Yeah.
I love.
I know
oh my god, when he walks up the stairs and there's the two people and you just are waiting for him to walk in through the door.
Right.
And he just walks in and his head is down, like he's looking at his feet, and he just both of the people are just shot without him even looking.
Oh.
So funny.
Like, I will say, Logan Marshall Green was practicing for about 3 weeks on how to walk like a robot, and would send footage to Leigh Whannell and be like, "Hey, how's it looking?" And he's like, "You could do this a little bit better." He's like, "Okay."
Damn.
And basically, he had to train his body to, like Mitch said, work in the most optimal way that a computer would. I think it's really funny though with the first initial fight scene where he's just like getting his ass handed to him, and he's like, "I can take over now, Gray. Stab, take over." And then like the gyroscope flips. Where with Gray, he's like fucking amazing at killing. He's hitting the dude with the head. He's like, "Oh God!" And the guy goes to grab a knife. He's like, "Please, just put the knife back down. I don't want to hurt you." Like, and then I gotta commend it for one of the greater kills in the thing is when he gets the knife and just shoves it through the dude's fucking face,
Yep.
like Chelsea Grin style, dude.
Oh yeah.
Nuts. And then he's like, "I need you to remove all your fingerprints from the area. I don't remember what the fuck I touched." He's like, I have a recording of everything you've touched in this room."
Yeah, exactly. Goes back and cleans it all.
What did you guys think of the scene where the rich dude in his self-driving like crazy Tesla got hacked and like made to crash?
I love that shit. That was such a good. That was
Yeah.
a good. That was a great scene. I love that scene. It was good. Good. Clever. It was very clever.
I do think that the ending is appropriate though, for the setting that he's in. It's a cyberpunk future. You're not going to win against big corporations or AI. And in this case, the AI is just way too powerful and has so much accessibility because of all the technology that's available. So it's like imminent that something is going to happen and it's going to get out. It's kind of like, what is that? Ex Machina.
Right.
Have you both seen that?
I saw it once, but it's been a while.
So
that's another one we should do
yeah,
an episode on.
we got to do that with
I believe it's A24, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. God, what would go good with Ex Machina?
I mean, is it a cyberpunk style movie? Could you consider that a cyber?
No, it's a sci-fi thriller, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't something kooky like iRobot. I don't know.
iRobot.
Actually, iRobot would not actually be a bad one.
I mean, the one with Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
I like that movie actually. I like it a lot.
Watch it. I'm down to do it.
Yeah, that might work.
We'll talk about it and then we can pair it up. We'll pair it. It's more of a funny movie with a more serious movie. But anyway.
Yeah.
Back to Upgrade.
The ending made sense. What did you guys think about the ending? Do you feel like it fit the theme and like kind of it left you with a gross feeling, kind of like what the guy told you about, where you're like, like this is it's just nothing is good about this ending.
Well, here's the thing. I think it does a couple things right. I mean, the thing is, Gray being stuck in his own consciousness on a never-ending loop of him hanging out with his wife.
Right.
That's where he wants to be. That's where he wishes he could be.
He does put him in a nice place. Not gonna lie.
The thing is, Fisk even says, "Don't let your emotions get to you." His emotions got to him near the end of the movie, where he was trying not to kill Detective Cortez, and he really just wanted to be back in his own life, hanging with his wife, and that's where STEM put him.
Yeah, exactly. Just left him in his own mind, revisiting a memory that he had. So it's like that really brings the question up of whether or not this AI is as evil as you think it is. Mm-hmm. Because it didn't torture him. It didn't completely shut him out. It was like, I can put him in a place where he's going to be happy forever while I hijack his body. So it was just like, it's such a weird thing to do. It's an odd choice for a computer to make when the optimal thing would have been just to erase him and then take his body.
Maybe he can't actually erase him. I guess this isn't really
true.
Explained. But he probably just, I'll get rid of him. All he wants is his wife and to be happy forever. So I will just put him in a room and make him believe that she is still alive and it is a dream. Goodbye. Yeah. And that was it.
That easy. Works. Yeah, it's easier to do.
The self-driving cars, by the way, were Honda Civics.
That's hilarious. I love that. Or they just
did they ever allowed this to sure, you can use our voice? Yeah, we'll have them crash and get hacked and stuff. That'll help your sales.
Yeah, I know. They must have had to hide so much stuff on it to not give away that it's a Honda.
Right. It looks nothing like it. Looks more like one of those Tesla trucks, if anything.
It really does. So, I think it was well done. It's got good pacing for an action film, which usually will peak in the middle of the movie and then kind of go down from there unless there's a final battle. In this case, it did really well.
Yeah, it didn't ever have that fall point really for me, I would say. I was very interested the whole time.
Same.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and that's what I was saying for how I don't know, this movie came under a lot of people's radar.
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, go see Upgrade. It was just like, hey, the guy that made Saw made a cyberpunk movie,
You should
and there's a
check it
guy
out.
loading bullets into his arm. That's all you need to know.
It was like when people what was that movie? Under the Skin, the one with Scarlett Johansson. It was like when that movie came out, people were like, you just got to watch it. We got to do that. We got to talk about that movie.
That's a good movie too.
Yeah, it's fucked up, but like it's a good movie.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Like when that came out, not a whole lot of people knew about it, but we go watch it and you're like, I don't know what I just watched. I had to watch that movie like 3 times to be like, what exactly is happening in this movie? But I think this is a good point to transition into talking about The Invisible Man.
Of course. And before we go into that, I just want to mention that Upgrade's soundtrack is available on vinyl through Mondo Media.
Oh, shit.
I was able to talk to the owner of Mondo Media when I was in Comic-Con 2 years back.
Yo.
And we talked about basically how it is getting all these crazy, like, grade A movies, how to get their rights to get vinyl made for them.
Oh.
And how he works with independent artists to get alternative artwork other than the film's poster. And I had a really good talk with that guy, and we talked about Castlevania for a good amount of that time. But I think his name is like something his name is M Fashik. He's a really cool guy. He works for Mondo Media in their vinyl department, and he was telling me that he was really excited to get the Upgrade one out there. So it does have a really good soundtrack if vinyl is your taste. I know it's certainly mine. I have a pretty decent sized collection. But yeah, on Mondo Media, you are able to get this soundtrack.
Nice.
And let's talk about The Invisible Man, because that movie is fucking dope.
Yeah, talk about a sort of unique take on an already done, like overdone story. Like The Invisible Man has been done so many times, and I thought it was going to be the same boring shit again. No, not at all. This is a completely different story from a completely different like take, and good for Elizabeth Moss for this movie. She's so fucking good in this movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen. I mean, I've seen quite a few movies, but this one in particular really makes you feel fear.
Yeah.
This is a movie that The Strangers wishes it could have been.
I think so. Yeah, it was very much like getting at the same idea, and in this case, it like upped the scare factor for something that you could not see for her, and so it just ends up like you feel a whole lot of the anxiety that she's feeling. The fear becomes real for you because you're just as blind as she is. So like there isn't anything to indicate that the people who are watching have like that irony of knowing where something is. And like most slasher films, you know where the slasher is. But in this case, you don't know anything. You know just as much as she does, and it makes you scared while you're watching it too.
They did such a good job of like really playing with the concept of what is the slasher going to do. You could fuck someone's life up by just killing them, sure, but no. Isn't it better to like turn their friends against you and like instead like what I mean, like convince your like best friend that you just beat their daughter for like shit like that. Like
so I gotta say, we have like a little bit of not really a trend, but something going on here where we're viewing more into toxic relationships. One with Midsummer and now The Invisible Man coming out this year.
Does not surprise me, honestly. This is so like this one was really good because they decided to put the perspective of an abusive relationship that she was escaping in the beginning, and that being like the premise for why he became a stalker and was going to like hurt her.
And here's the thing, like I think it plays with victims like PTSD. Like if
completely.
You have had an abusive relationship, you don't come back from that the same.
Yeah.
And so like everyone around her is just like, yo, you're just freaked out. And the dude like committed suicide. You're fine. And she's like, no, there's something fucking here and you guys aren't fucking seeing it. And I'm not fucking seeing it.
It's incredibly frustrating because it directly gives you the impression of what it's like to be an abuse victim and having no one believe you. And that is like the one thing that this movie does is it makes you so frustrated because you know that she's getting attacked, but no one is listening to her. And it like takes almost all the way to the end of the film for someone to believe her.
that's the crazy thing is you also second guess what you believe
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
movie too. Is she actually seeing the feet on that sheet? That's
Oh my
actually
God.
happening right now?
Yeah.
Like you don't even like you. And she's am I crazy? Is she crazy? Are they crazy? You know, like and it does such a good job at getting in your head like that.
I heard someone call this gaslighting the slasher, and I was just like, oh shit, Jesus.
Damn, that's such a funny. That's so good. That's pretty. Yeah, that's basically it. Though.
I do have to say though that the film is too dark. I wish they would have figured out how to do better lighting, because
Okay.
there are some pieces of the film that I had to like close my blinds completely and be like, what the fuck is happening in the scene, because it's so dark. When like,
were you watching this like midday?
I was watching in the middle of the day, and so like I had to like close my blinds and figure it out. And watching in the middle of the day did not change the fact that I still got nervous as hell watching it. But like,
oh fuck no.
But like, you want, like we've talked about it before, like you want a master class in lighting something, go watch The Lighthouse. It's black and white film all at night, and you can see everything clearly. That is like how you're supposed to do lighting on a film like that. So like for this movie to be so dark, I was really annoyed because I like couldn't see details on certain things. I like turned up the brightness on my TV too.
Well, here's the thing. This movie works well with its suspense, and Leigh Whannell purposely put in scenes where they're staring at just blank hallways or empty rooms or spaces where the rule of the thirds are like just prevalent.
That's a good point.
And you're like, am I supposed to be catching something right here, or is the guy in the room? But the thing is, like, nobody knows. The only person that knows is Leigh Whannell.
Yeah.
Whoa. No. There is the very first scene in the movie where
I know what you're talking about.
He does the silent pan of the room, or not even a pan. He just looks at a room, and it's the knife. The knife disappears. That's the crazy one. It's the knife gets up off of the counter and disappears underneath, like behind the counter.
Wait, how did I miss that?
That is the one where like when later she goes in the attic and it's in the Ziploc bag, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
There's one where they get pictures snapped of themselves. You see that little flash, like a camera flash. And then in the scene, like maybe like 20 minutes before that, it's in a kitchen. She's cutting up like mushrooms or something like that and cooking.
Right.
And then what happens is the knife goes off the counter and goes down behind the counter and disappears while she's gone. And then the heat on the stove gets turned up.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah, the heat on the stove gets turned up, so that's why everything starts burning. And then she runs in there like, "What the hell just happened?"
Right.
Oh no.
I love that Murr mentioned that the way he framed the shots. So like this is a really good piece of like cinematography. So where you get to see what exactly is the director pointing you at. And in this case, because he's invisible, you had to notice the smallest details in what you were watching. And it made you so paranoid every time you watched an empty room. And so he made you watch an empty room for like 30 seconds to like a minute, and you're like, what's different?
Right.
What's different? And so it's because like this is the kind of fear that you get when you're paranoid about something, when you think someone's following you. Like you go up some stairs, you close the room, like you close the door on a dark room, anything like that, you become super paranoid that there's something there, someone near you. And they up this by having scenes where like she's outside and then you see the breath next to her.
Yeah.
So like shit, dude, like that really gets you. Like that's like the first time you ever see him.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was thinking. Like the rule of the thirds and like the panning shots that are just stuck on something. You're like left like scrambling in your mind, like what the fuck is coming out? Where is he? And he did this on purpose because like the interrogation scene with the cops.
Yep.
He left the corner of the room, empty for a reason, but Leigh Whannell was like, no, he's not in that corner. I maybe thought he was though.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I like. Yeah, exactly. The movie fucks with you. It makes you think that he's somewhere and he'll be somewhere else. Or I mean, what John was saying earlier, I didn't even notice like the breath next to her. I just noticed the knife, which it seems like somebody else here, like you guys didn't notice the knife.
I did not notice the knife.
Yeah, it's really subtle. It's so weird.
So that's crazy. That's the thing. You notice the knife. We notice the breath. That's so crazy.
So
I saw that just disappear.
it's really possible that you can watch this movie with someone else, notice something, and the person next to you is also not going to believe you. So this adds another layer of, oh man, like, is this a reliable
it's
narrative?
so meta. Like,
Good shit, dude. Good
Yeah,
shit.
so really, like, it's really well done in that aspect of, can you get the audience to fill in the blanks for you? And in this case, they are.
But the jump scares, like when she kicked over the dog bowl, dude. Oh my
Jesus
god,
Christ. Yeah.
that got me.
That already makes you nervous because she's sneaking out of his house.
And the one where it just cuts to the frying of the eggs and bacon, like from a really tense scene.
Yeah, it's just, it ups the scare factor so quickly. Like when the little girl gets like straight up punched.
Yeah, Storm Reed
God,
characters.
Like, what the fuck?
When they just did that, when he did that, I was just like, oh shit, this dude's playing the dirty game.
Yeah,
he's playing the fucked up dirty game right now.
And then he fucks with her even more because she takes away her architect paintings for the job interview with, hey, it's Fisk, man. It's Fisk from Upgrade. He's in this movie too.
It's crazy.
Benedict Hardy doing the interview.
Oh, right. So
that's funny. That's funny. That's why I recognize
yeah,
him.
that's exactly why.
Oh, damn.
There's significant moments in the film that up the intensity for the film, and it does not let up because it does something else again at that point. So like you have him stepping on the sheet.
Yeah.
You have him stepping on the sheet at the beginning. Then she like kind of gets shoved. Then you have the breath. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it was the breath first, then the blanket, then her getting punched, then her throwing paint on him.
The paint, dude.
That scared the fuck out of me watching that. Like, he was right there in front of her. And then that's also when you realize that he's in a suit.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, what are these crazy hexagon shapes?
Yeah, he looks like a golf ball. Like when it gets thrown on his head, and it's because it's all like little cameras. And then it got so close to going into this random sci-fi film, and then he managed to like wrangle the film back and be like, it's not about the suit. It's not about the suit. And then it's more about him like stalking her, and then brought the film back to it, and it kept going on that line. So I was like, dang, that's really hard to do because people would have been way too distracted with that.
It was so intense with her trying to get her Uber driver.
Oh my God, yeah.
Dude, I was like, fuck. Is he in the car? Like, I was like, dude, thinking, like, when she opened the car, did the dude just come in as well?
Right, yeah. He's just, like, on her heels. Like, he has to be, like, so close to her. And it just kept getting fucked up. Killing her sister in front of everybody.
Dude, that was the gnarliest kill. That was the gnarliest kill, and you're just like, I didn't even see that shit coming. And they're, like, coming back to terms. You think this is, like, a turning point?
Yeah, exactly.
Story, right? You're like, this sister's gonna fuck this guy up. Hell yeah, and all of a sudden, no.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, she's dead and bleeding all over the fucking table.
She's staring at this floating knife while she's trying to hear her sister's testimony.
Yeah, she's like, she believes
slit
her.
across the throat. And the dude seamlessly puts it back into her hand.
I know.
Yeah, there you go. Have fun with that.
Jeez.
And I gotta say, like, with the interactions with James, is his name James? Yeah,
Adrian,
James, who's played by Aldous Hodge.
Oh, the guy helping her. And
Sydney, who's played by Storm Reed. I mean, you could tell that they are super concerned from her, especially when they're, talking to the older or the brother that precedes the guy that is quote unquote dead. I mean, there's some hidden subtle notes, like the dog being alive for 2 weeks straight in the big rich mansion.
Yeah, he's obviously alive. Another thing that was really subtle too, that I don't know if you guys noticed.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the dog was alive.
Like, how is it? I thought about that for a moment. I'm still alive. Oh, because he's been alive.
Do you guys remember when she goes into the room? I think this is before the sheet before he stands on it. If you notice, the chair that's in the room has like a slight impression. Like he's like sitting in the chair when they go into the room, which is so fucked. And like, he really like the most patient stalker I've ever seen. Like he waits so long before he finally says something to her, and like literally decides to be like, surprise.
It's so good in suspense building. Like this movie, like after viewing this movie, the fact that it came out this year and then the fact that it came out under quarantine
and
and
still made
made
as
it
much money.
still made money.
Yeah.
Because
It's
the thing
well
is, this
done.
came out in February of this year, I believe. And can we get like a box office reading off of this? Let me get back to you on that. You guys keep talking.
It's probably gotten a lot of uploads and whatnot.
It
would
got-
But
say.
here's the
A
thing:
lot
they
of
put it on
downloads.
streaming. They put it on streaming eventually. Okay, so the budget was $7 million.
Yeah.
Still, okay. This is what I'm saying. Leigh Whannell taking small budgets, making some good profits. $125 million in the box office with quarantine going on.
Dude, that's
dude knows
120
how to
million
make
in
money in
profit.
film.
Like, I can imagine that the people who produce this are like swimming in cash, and he's just gonna go back to them and be like, "Can I make another movie?" And they're like, "Fuck yes, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, just go and make another movie that's gonna make us
They're
this much
still
money."
counting their money a year later. and
Right.
It's like, hey, can you yeah, dude, we're good. That
Yeah,
sounds
like
great.
fuck it, go make something. Like, this is
I
I
need-
can't
I
believe
get to
it.
do this for another 10 years. He's like, yeah, all right.
I need-
sick.
I need $5 million to make you 200.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's ridiculous.
All right, that's
I'm
cool.
really curious if
Nice.
he's ever gonna pass that like 10 million mark.
He just walks in with the shades in the joint, just like, sup?
I-
Want me to make
I gotta say, like after these two most recent films, I'm like really excited to see what he's gonna bring to the table
Yeah.
for
Same.
whatever is coming.
I'm glad I now know about this director and
Yeah.
other work of his. I've seen Saw and I love Saw. Like, the
Yeah,
first Saw movie
it's
is
good.
A classic. It's so
Yep.
good. But
He
yeah,
honestly does a
I'm very
really good
interested in,
acting
like,
job
what I've
in
seen so
Saw.
far. He's doing such a good job. He's doing a great job so far on movies.
Also, it should be noted that he did help write and slightly direct not Paranormal Activity, Insidious Chapter 3. So if you're
Okay.
familiar with that movie, also worked on that one.
One of the main things I want to talk about too is something we touched on earlier, which was the idea of putting the horror film through the lens of her abusive relationship. And they did a really good part where her interaction with James becomes frustrating for him at some point, where he's just like, "You're acting like ridiculous." And it showed a really good parallel for how people might get frustrated, like even people who care about you might get really frustrated with you because they don't know how to handle the anxiety and all the paranoia and the stress that might come with something like that. And they even decided to include that within the writing in a way that didn't seem intrusive to the story, where it was like, we're taking 10 minutes to do this.
It didn't sound preachy. I
Yeah,
don't think.
exactly. It
Felt
wasn't
very much
yeah.
like this is what would happen.
Yep.
This is natural.
Yeah,
That's how it
exactly.
felt. Yeah, a natural progression of emotion and feeling.
Yeah.
Very,
I-
very
I-
cleverly done.
It's super interesting because like Cecilia's character is, I mean, from the outside in, she's just going nuts after the death of her boyfriend.
I do
But they
like
didn't-
her transition though. She goes from being a very, very vulnerable like kind of a not so strong character, and she's like kind of broken at the beginning, and then she gets
Like she can't even
really
go to
tough.
the mailbox.
She gets so fucking tough by the end of the movie and is like able to get her revenge as well. And so this also doubles as a possibly showing someone's recovery, but in such a different way because she kind of gets her revenge on him.
I think like we should definitely go into that after we discuss the entire fucking catastrophe that is the ward scene.
Yo, okay. Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned it because so there's two things that really bothered me about the movie. One was that the guy ran an optics company. It just seems a little too on the nose for him to be a villain like that. Like, oh, he runs an optics company, of course he's going to figure out how to make himself invisible. Anyway, besides that, what the fuck are these guards in this stupid ward who can't figure out how to like apprehend someone and then are convinced that it's her for a good while?
Yeah, it's like stay on the ground, stay on the ground. They're pointing the gun at her while like people behind them are literally getting their ass handed to them by some invisible force.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do against that, John? You gonna fight the invisible thing?
Well, okay. So
What are you gonna do?
you see
You're
someone
gonna stand
get
there and you're probably gonna stand there and gawk at it for a second. and be
I'm
like,
gonna
"What the
fucking
fuck
fire
just
my gun
What-
instead of what the fuck they're doing.
What invisible specter just threw my friend through the wall over there.
I did like the
And-
camera work in this scene, though.
Yeah.
Well, give it to Upgrade for the
I
gyroscopic
thought it was
fucking
great.
motion camera.
Yeah.
Nope, this was not a road bump for me in the movie. This was a great scene.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I'm being very overly analytical of that piece of film. I think I just find it somewhat unbelievable that they would all be so fucking useless. But like, cops.
I love how he has like the one where he just slams the dude against the window and it falls on the floor with the dude's
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
And then there's the one where like you see the gun shoot the guy's kneecap and punches him in the face. Oh, dude,
God damn.
Oh,
super
whoa.
fun.
Whoa. We have to talk about okay.
The bang.
Okay,
bang.
I just want to mention one amazing kill from fucking Upgrade. I just remembered.
Okay.
Which is the skull splitting one where he
Yeah.
takes the knife and runs
Ooh,
it through
yeah.
like the mouth of the guy and like splits his skull open like that. I don't know. It was just great. I love that shit. It's so good. Every kill in it was so good.
I will say when the cop gets apprehended and he has his hands up and the gun's just floating there and he goes, bang.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
The
that was
darkest
so
of
good.
comedy. Just like just to say bang to scare someone.
Be like bang.
He didn't even say it loudly. He just like softly told him.
Okay, but here's the thing: the manipulation between the brother and the other brother
Yo.
towards
Yeah.
Cecilia. You're gonna have this baby, and if you do, you'll be out of here.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Just like, oh my god. He's like, also your birth control pills. Yeah, they never worked. They were placebos.
Also, what a brilliant way to make her sort of like bulletproof, where like he wouldn't kill her because of that fact. So like she almost gets the upper hand because she realizes that and like lures him in by attempting like quote unquote attempting suicide and then like gets a few fucking stabs in on him. Like that's great. Like that was such a good way to draw him into her and then like fuck up his suit.
Dude, it
That
was
honestly
pretty-
one of the best things ever. Was that scene in general? How she like pulls him, gets him into.
it was pretty tough watching like her trying to cut herself open with
Oh,
a pen.
yeah, I
though.
know.
Oh god.
Yeah. They did not
the-
make you feel comfortable watching that.
Then the entire rain sequence outside was just nuts.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, after that, I mean, her entire and then like, how fucking crazy is that? The boyfriend's like, all right, if I can't kill you, then I'll kill the people who are in your
Right.
life that you love.
It should be noted that she does kill both of them. She kills the brother and she kills Adrian at the end in such a the most
She
satisfying.
offs the brother first without even knowing.
It's the most
It's
satisfying ending I've seen in a long time for any
yeah.
film. Like I was like, yes, please kill this dude. I want this dude dead.
Because he's lying to her.
Yeah.
Dude. They try to play it off as, oh, the brother took his suit and locked him in the basement. Bull fucking shit. The guy is
Yeah.
like a legend in optics. You're
Yeah.
gonna tell me that this guy didn't fake his own death and put himself in the basement so it seems all hunky dory?
So the real question is she a final girl?
Yes.
I think so, right?
Yeah,
It fits
I
the
think
bill.
So, yeah, absolutely.
so yeah, she's a fucking awesome final girl, and I appreciate that she gets away. She like slits his throat, makes it look like it was him, comes in and panics and calls the cops to make it seem more legit, and
Dude,
then walks out
okay.
with the suit.
But did anyone think that there was a second person in that scene? I thought there was at first.
Yes.
I thought, oh shit, she got someone wearing the suit while she comes out and looks all innocent. I was like, who the fuck's in the suit? But then like she did it so seamlessly. It was herself.
Yeah, it was so great. It was like the perfect setup for him, and then like he dies watching her, knowing that like she did that, and he can't do anything about it. And then the really tense moment with James on whether or not he's gonna let her go, because he knows that she just fucking killed him.
And the thing is,
yeah.
like, he's like, you never really wanted this on tape, did you?
Yeah, exactly.
I believe she did.
Yeah,
I
she
believe
tried. She tried.
She gave the dude a solid amount of chances. She asked the question like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, just tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth. And she would have done something else, but he didn't want to tell her, so she's like, "Fuck it, I want to kill this dude," and fucking, it was so, I was like worried up until the fucking credits rolled. I was like, please don't let anything happen to this woman at the end of this film. And it ends up rolling, and you're like, thank God. She actually like kills the dude, gets away, and it's a great ending to that movie. I think
she's free now.
Yeah, I think if she had died, it would have been just as effective, but I would have been mad. I would have been like, this is ridiculous.
I don't think they were building towards her death.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
neither.
Think that she was destined to. At no point in that movie was I really like, I think this guy's going to kill her.
Yeah.
At one point, I was maybe more afraid until the whole baby
right.
bit of the plot gets
changes
into things, and I'm like, okay, he's not going to kill her. He's just torturing her at
yeah,
this point. And
exactly.
Being mean. He's just being a psychopathic asshole.
Yeah,
you know
he's
I mean?
Crazy psychopath narcissist, like the most ridiculous person.
Yeah. But I would say that I thought her death was evident. I kind of predicted the ending as well. I was like, oh, she's gonna be in the suit at the end. And
when she hides the suit instead of like reporting it to someone, you kind of get the idea that she's gonna use it at some point.
Definitely a good point. She's gonna use it on him. Yeah.
Because I was curious about that.
Framed as suicide, and it's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, because she makes sure that he's on camera while he does it as well.
I thought he suicided. Well, he did it again.
Right. Now for sure, though.
For sure. For sure, it's him.
Then, and the thing is, like, we got to talk, not too much, but just like barely touch on like the comparison to the original Invisible Man. This is like the first serious take for the Invisible Man. The first one was more sci-fi, just like, hey guys, look, I'm fucking invisible.
Yeah.
Let's go to the women's locker room. Am I right, guys?
There was also the movie called Hollow Man.
Oh man, what a tragic late '90s movie.
Yeah, that was in 2000 actually.
Oh damn, I was close.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it did not do very well, but it was like also it was like attempting sort of like the Invisible Man scenario as well, I guess.
Who was in that one?
Then there was Hollow Man 2. It was Kevin Bacon is in.
I thought
one.
so. I was like, is that Kevin Bacon? I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon, Elizabeth Shue, Josh Brolin.
Man, you know what you should watch, even though it's not like Invisible Man kind of stuff. You should watch a Face Off.
Okay. I'll check it out.
It's like it's just 90s trash, but like it's so entertaining because it's Nick Cage and who else is in that movie? I can't remember right now. But like it's literally about them switching faces and then ruining each other's lives.
Damn.
Yeah, it's so weird. But anyway, do you guys have any like final thoughts on either film?
I think Leigh Whannell is doing an exceptional job in Hollywood. The numbers won't lie to Hollywood either.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
We're getting into these really good indie directors who are like making their mark on horror, and it is really cool that we're seeing like a really big resurgence of horror films that are both unique and like their original content in some ways. Where it's
as well as touching on stuff that wouldn't be touched.
No. It's opening up different genres, different subgenres of horror that people wouldn't normally think of, and it gives us shit to talk about.
Yeah. I will say though, like, I enjoy Upgrade for how fast-paced and the editing in it. I think the person who plays Gray does a great job. Invisible Man is a movie that I can't wait to show my mom just to make her fucking scared shitless.
Oh God.
So.
Oh fuck.
I guess we should say to some people maybe a little bit of a content warning, because if you do have some sort of post-traumatic stress, this may not be a good movie for you to watch, because this ups the like stress factor like crazy. I don't have anything like that, and this made me very upset.
Yeah, it leaves you with that feeling.
Yeah,
for sure. It just depends. I don't know. I think that you'd have to test yourself out on it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
If you feel you can always turn it off.
It's true.
If you don't like it, it makes you upset. You can always turn it off. It's okay.
What about you, Mitch? Did you have any other final thoughts
about these movies?
Yeah.
Dude, fucking Upgrade was so good. I loved the shit out of that. I want my mom to see that movie. My mom would love the shit out of that movie. It's fucking great. She'd love to see she loves seeing heads get blown up and fucking crazy things like that.
Mitch or Murray, did you guys have any other final thoughts about the film? Like, what would you guys rate these?
You know what I really enjoyed about both of these movies, John?
What?
That they both tackled paranoia on different aspects.
That's true.
when it comes to paranoia or who has access to your life, essentially, and then another aspect of who's watching you, who's following you, sort of idea to like malicious intent in both directions.
That's a good point.
Good point.
I rather enjoyed both of these movies, to be quite honest. Though I don't know. I honestly think that Upgrade is very much worth watching. It was overall an enjoyable movie. I thought it had a great plot to it, and The Invisible Man was great if you want something that's gonna, if you actually want to feel kind of like spooked out and see some interesting filmmaking techniques and some honestly some attempts at something a little bit different. I think you'll get a lot of different avant-garde looks at or attempts at things in these two movies.
Right. So what would you give them for a rating, like 1 to 10?
Oh, rating 1 to me, all of us, or me?
You.
I will say that Upgrade to me is a solid 7.5 or an 8, and then Invisible Man I'm looking more towards a solid 8.3.
What about you, Mitch?
I would give both of these movies a 9. I thought they were both pretty fucking good.
I'd give Upgrade like an 8.5, and then I'll actually give The Invisible Man like a 9.5, if not like a perfect 10, because it's just, there wasn't a whole lot that was wrong with it. If anything, it's just really small details that are not going to take away from the story, and it's pretty well thought out, and I didn't really see any like loophole, like plot holes where like something wouldn't work because of a certain something that someone did. Like, it's just, there's some movies where you're like, this is blatant, like this needs to be handled, but there was nothing in the movie that stood out to me where I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, hearing that, I might have to change my score then, because I would probably give Upgrade an 8.5, and then on a solid 9 for Invisible Man. It's been a long time since I've been spooked.
Right, yeah, it definitely makes you feel, and good job to movies that still scare you when you're an adult. And,
good job to Leigh Whannell, dude.
Yeah,
he's doing good.
It's well done pacing.
Before we do closing thoughts, I just want to say, Invisible Man does deal with a good amount of like a domestic or abusive relationship. If you or a loved one are quarantined with such kind of fate, the number for the U.S. Domestic Violence Hotline is going to be put in right here. It is 1-800-799-SAFE. So again, if you are in an abusive relationship or know someone who is quarantined with an abusive family member or lover, the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233 in the U.S.
That's really good, and it should also be noted that if you call that line and start telling them things, they won't ask you really obvious questions where you have to answer a certain way. That they'll ask you like yes or no questions and be like are you safe? Like, do you need to go somewhere else? And then they'll get you help really quickly.
Good idea putting that in there, guys.
Yep. That's really good idea.
That no one even told me. That's straight up wholesome.
Anyway. But that is pretty much it. So before I let everybody go, I want to remind everybody that we do have our Patreon that is live now. So you can go and find it at our website, which is bdtghpodcast.com. It'll be right on the main page next to the intro video. And you can link there to go and find special edition individual segments. There's a new episode that came out today on Wednesday from Murr. It's his first episode of Monsters with Murr. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, Murr?
Basically, with this quarantine going down, I'm surrounded by monster DVDs in my room, and I've just been watching a good amount of them, and I just talk about my general thoughts. I get really shit-faced, and I just talk about monster movies. So if you liked our Godzilla episode, our Shin Godzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla episode, where I just go ham on everything giant monster or monster related, that's definitely more up your alley, and I definitely recommend it. I'm going to try to get more episodes out very soon, and like John said, you could check them out on all the streaming sites as well as our Patreon.
Yep, exactly. And we're also available on all the streaming sites, pretty much anywhere you find your podcast. So the main ones are going to be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify and iHeartRadio. And then you can find us on all of these social medias. So you can go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at BDTGH_podcast. And you can leave comments, questions, concerns. You can even email us and send us some recommendations for films. We're going to try to put up more polls and inquiries to see what people really want to listen to. And we can add in a fan episode sometime next month as well. But thanks so much for coming out, or thanks so much for joining me on Discord to talk about these films. I hope everyone has a good night.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Mer.
And I'm Jonathan. Thank you.
Have a good night, folks.
Peace.
Good night, dog.